Talks are that Iron Man's worst nightmare might be returning to the big screen, and this time in the MCU. We're talking about Magneto, the guy who can swipe Captain America's shield, Thor's hammer, and even turn Vision into a metal ball if he wanted to. Having Magneto join the MCU makes a lot of sense, especially since they've already figured out how to address his complicated backstory. Marvel Studios' plan to introduce Magneto into the MCU brings up a tricky timeline issue, but it seems that this might have been addressed with one Phase 4 project. After Disney acquired 20th Century Fox in 2019, Marvel gained the chance to bring mutants and the X-Men into the MCU. Although the process has been pretty slow, so far we've only seen Ms. Marvel's Kamala Khan and Namor from Black Panther Wakanda Forever revealed as mutants. Marvel is gradually adding more old mutants through the multiversal adventures. Since Kevin Feige teased the arrival of mutants in the MCU back in 2019, fans have been buzzing about how these iconic characters will fit into the established universe. The challenge lies in the complex backstories of many mutants, especially Magneto, whose history as a Holocaust survivor deeply influences his character. While there's concern that his backstory might get altered for the MCU, Marvel has hinted at a way to keep it intact. In the comics, Magneto was born in the late 1920s and captured by the Nazis in 1935. If this backstory remains unchanged in the MCU, it would mean introducing him as an elderly character, potentially over 100 years old. This wouldn't exactly lend itself to a long-term arc for Magneto, but Marvel Studios seems to have a clever solution ready to go. Namor, played by Tena Huerta in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, has a really cool backstory that adds a lot to his character. He first popped up in 1939 in Marvel Comics #1, making him one of the oldest superheroes around. His introduction to the MCU was super exciting, especially since they included his mutant background. Born way back in 1571, Namor still looks young in the present day because of his mutation, which gives him a long lifespan. Along with that, he can breathe underwater and even has wings on his ankles, making him pretty agile. This long life could really help explain the backstories of other mutants in the MCU as things continue to evolve. So what I'm trying to say is that Magneto and other mutants could age slower in the MCU. Namor might be a unique case in the MCU with his mutation, giving him a longer lifespan, but Marvel Studios could expand this idea to explain that all mutants age more slowly than regular humans. This would really help when introducing characters like Magneto, whose backstories are tied to real-world events. It means they could have been around for centuries, but still appear young in today's MCU. For Magneto, keeping his emotional and powerful backstory as a Holocaust survivor is crucial. His childhood experiences shaped how he views humanity and mutants, driving him to fight against atrocities like those he endured. While Professor X hopes for a peaceful coexistence, Magneto's history makes him more willing to take extreme measures to protect his fellow mutants. It's important that this significant part of Magneto's story is handled with care in the MCU. Changing it would be disrespectful, so explaining that his mutation allows him to live longer could be the perfect solution to maintain the integrity of his character while fitting into the MCU timeline. Another interesting theory about how the MCU might introduce mutants is through the multiverse. With the MCU already deep into the multiverse saga, we're expecting a lot of new mutants to show up before 2027's Avengers Secret Wars wraps things up. While we'll likely see familiar faces from Fox's X-Men universe like Deadpool and Wolverine, there's also a chance for brand new mutants and fresh takes on existing characters, similar to what we've seen in Deadpool and Wolverine. For example, we recently witnessed characters like Channing Tatum's Gambit and Henry Cavill's Wolverine being introduced in a way that diverged from their established lore, suggesting the MCU is open to reinventing characters. This approach allows for a mix of new actors and perspectives, making the potential for new mutant stories even more exciting as we move forward in the multiverse saga. This method could let different versions of the X-Men and their villains, like Magneto, come from an alternate timeline, maybe even one set in the past. It kind of reminds me of Fox's X-Men First Class, which showed how the original X-Men team came together back in 1963. This way, Magneto could still have that powerful backstory while being seen as a younger character, setting him up for some exciting adventures in the MCU. It keeps the essence of his character while blending smoothly into the new live-action universe. The MCU's X-Men Magneto recast also has an opportunity to break an important 24-year Marvel casting trend. Marvel Studios has officially confirmed that the X-Men reboot is in the works for the MCU, which means we'll soon see some of Marvel Comics' most exciting characters reimagined after their live-action appearances in 20th Century Fox's X-Men series. Right now, though, there's no word on casting for key roles like Professor X, Wolverine, Storm, and Cyclops, leaving us in suspense about who will fill these shoes, as well as the villains' roles. Magneto is one of the most powerful mutants in the Marvel Universe and has a significant cultural impact, especially with his philosophical clashes with Professor X and his fierce fights for mutant rights being some of the most memorable moments in comics. It's crucial that Magneto's rich heritage and backstory are preserved in the MCU. He first appeared in 2000's X-Men, played by the talented Ian McKellen. Then, from 2011's X-Men First Class onward, we saw Michael Fassbender take on the younger version of Magneto, with the two actors sharing the screen in 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past. In the comics, Eric Lensher's Jewish background plays a vital role in shaping his character, and while this was acknowledged in Fox's films, it's worth noting that neither McKellen nor Fassbender are Jewish. This gives Marvel Studios an opportunity to be more thoughtful in how they portray this important aspect of Magneto's character in the MCU. Fortunately, Marvel Studios' recent casting for the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot indicates they're taking more care to find a Jewish actor for Magneto, ensuring the character's important backstory is honored. Ben Grimm, also known as The Thing, is one of Marvel characters' most well-known Jewish characters, and during the casting process, there was a strong emphasis on finding a Jewish actor for this role. Eben Moss-Bacharach, who played David Lieberman in The Punisher, fits that description perfectly, which gives hope that the same level of consideration will be applied when casting Magneto. Moss-Bacharach will be joining Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, and Joseph Quinn as part of Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four. This means we might soon see a fresh face for Magneto as well, and maybe Jewish this time. Let me talk about some of the names that have been popping up lately. On top of my list and most fans' list is Christoph Waltz. He has earned a solid reputation for playing charismatic villains, especially with his standout roles in Quentin Tarantino films like Inglourious Basterds, which earned him an Academy Award. His ability to channel a menacing intensity would be a perfect fit for Magneto. Waltz shares a similar stature to Ian McKellen when he was first cast as Magneto, and it's easy to imagine him delivering a haunting performance. He has the range to portray Magneto not only as a terrifying villain, but also as a compelling orator and leader. Waltz brings such depth to his characters that they often become hard to dislike. Well, that's it. Please share your views and opinions in the comments section with us. Subscribe to the channel to get updated regularly with the latest update. Thank you so much for watching our video today, and we'll see you at the next one.